Attention gamers. The other day when I was on the app where presidential candidates piss on each other, I stumbled across this post by a man sarcastically saying he loves League of Legends with a sly screeny of freaking Teemo Jungler just funneling LP down his pie hole, and while I would think this would alarm the creators of this torture simulator of the game, but instead they themselves comment on the post basically saying no, we give our seal of approval to this total BS. So today we are going to take a look at the latest nonsense dominating the Rift, aka Teemo Jungle, which is giving very high elo players upwards of a 90% win rate in the current state of the game. Now Broxah is a very decorated professional when it comes to this Legends League, but to me he looks like a combination of the perfect Aryan race that Hitler described and a person who gets hired on yachts to let people eat sushi off his naked body. And today we will be watching one of his recent Teemo games to see how this strategy is printing wins, and then we'll bring it back to my own silver elo gameplay so that you can see if this is possible in the ranked reality that most of us are used to. So please politely slap my subscribe button silly, and let's see why Riot is okay with this being on duty. Now I always thought that the Turbo Virgin pre-game tilted titlickers that I have to deal with are exclusive to low elo, but considering this is the first thing I see in a Grandmaster game, I think it can be best summed up by the sushi model when he says,
"This is what unhealthy amounts of League of Legends does to a human being."
And you can see that before he's done with his first clear there are already people trying to play surprise you a dead bitch because they fear this little fungus distributor when he's played in the forest. But of course Hitler's fantasy boy has vision because he's not dog shit at this game, which by the transitive property meant he could turn it around with a little bush bob and spit that Helen Keller juice into one of their eyes, which left diabetic Neil Armstrong more isolated than when he was on the moon. And with that he already managed to cure the tilted typing Caitlyn's whining, or as he puts it in his deep sashimi voice,
Caitlyn got the kill. That's probably for the greater good. Hopefully that helps reset her mental a little.
Luckily he was still bot side when he got word that the ruined simp would be making a cameo performance in lane, and luckily he got there just in time to hold the camcorder in front of the gangbang for his Rift only fans page. And after bailing out the mall cop, the fight was looking like a fat counter gank until the cuck of a mall cop just had to W key back into danger and give the twinkle shit a fat handful of coinage before the spitter shitter makes it an even trade, and then they chase Luther from the Umbrella Academy all the way back to base. And then as he catches the man carrying around a giant Disney on Ice prop as a sword, he sums up some of the appeal behind the Teemo Jungle pick.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, he's solo losing the game and crushing the dreams of all his teammates for no apparent reason just because he's too tilted to play against Teemo. Like, it's so dirty how people just randomly run it down because their mental can't handle my pick. It's quite unbelievable. Okay with this, we're chilling.
His mid is playing that dude who likes wearing mascara and having a Q that can do 60 different things and getting caught by a lunar lunatic who is visiting from a foreign land, but he shows that Demon Teemo is always in the right place at the right time, so he tag teams the tower in to make a 3-man gank into another even trade.
Okay, this might be a bad idea. Thank you for the leash. He wasted smite in the small one, he doesn't have it. Thank you.
But turns out hitting the old 5-finger discount on a few grubs has both the ruined simp and his fat pet astronaut looking for revenge as they are up and inside his grill. But the brother Broxah is rocking more dodge than a Durango, and I guess the motion alarms went off on the minimap to actually trigger a rotation from his boys, whereas in my elo it would have been just a lot of drooling and wondering where the other team was, which does result in his death, but not without a price for the bad guys. Then he says,
"Do something absolutely mental in just a moment."
And by mental he means be the man of the hour for his team by giving that Drake a BOGO deal on mushrooms, which sends his Bulbasaur flying in before doing something flashy, nabbing the objective and then being a sore winner by murdering the loser. It's worth noting he almost pulls off the 1v2 against the blind rockbender, and even then it looks like doing something mental is still worth. Then right when I thought putting shrimp tails on his nipples for a rich family dinner was the wildest thing I could imagine him doing, he proves me wrong by hitting a genius proxy stealth assassination attempt, and even though the twinkle shit could smell something fishy in the air, he still wasn't prepared to deal with the demonic midget who should be off farming in the forest, and thanks to a last-minute adoption of a queef kitty it ends up resulting in another kill for the cancer cop. For context, I did try the same proxy surprise in my game, and well, that didn't go as smooth. More on that later, as it turns out the adoption paperwork for the kitty cleared in record time, so he already won full custody of her instead of her being trapped with that toxic owner, and they premiere their power by complimenting a few hundred bullets from Obama to take down the rock bender. Turns out sucking people's blood and warding must be mutually exclusive because their top is blinder than a bat, but he's not gonna go down without putting on his Dracula routine, which is a tad dramatic, but with the power of zoomies with another violent desk popping of Obama's clip, they have killed another. They are still trying to invade his personal space like grade A dickheads, but with his new house pet any damage merely tickles him as he leaves anyone who tries to screw him running and burning like they contracted AIDS from the encounter.
This Israel is about to break completely. He is not having fun right now.
This is followed by more aggressive stealthing as he apparently leads the party planning committee for slaughter-themed get-togethers, but when no one comes he decides to just bully the wardless Draco Malfoy again. And what I as a low elo player learned from this play is that you should always flash forward offensively into fights, and this is the time that I will say I saw it work on TV. Turns out his clear and movement speed are so fast, paired with the floating kitty on his titty, that he can be almost anywhere on the map to clean up kills, and seeing as no one can outduel him at this point, I'm starting to see why this is so strong. Sure, he has a Yumi, which puts this in the 200 years of collective game design category, but even without that security blanket he can look at Ellen DeGeneres and delete her with a single auto-Q auto combo.
I think he dies. Yeah, he's gone.
And to sum up the pressure this puts on the map, you can see that the enemy jungler is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Everyone else on the team has to run away when they see him because there's no way they can win a fight, but running has them hitting minefields and dying while others are slowed from the blasts. All while randoms in Narnia are feeling the pain of dealing with this as well. Both sides of the jungle are now legally owned by him as he shows off an impressive knowledge of Fog of War by hitting a squat and stealth combo right outside of this Virgin King's vision, which obviously turns into a less than optimal experience for him. The Galaxy Goober does try to save his mate, but then it just turns into him having to run for his life, which results in a tag team match where they are just tagging each other in to deal with the wrath of a demonized gerbil and his pet cat until one of them gets dicked. At one point it did look like limit testing with a whole mortgage payment's worth of gold in his pockets was a bad idea, but I guess Yumi is still bullshit after 60 nerfs and reworks because it's just piss-awful design, and that champ needs to be put in the recycling bin. But at this point in the game he can secure objectives in adherence with COVID guidelines, as he can zone out and kill enemies from a safe social distance without ever having to come in contact with them, which means a free Baron. Any Tom, Dick or Viego who tries to stop the push is gonna hit poison pathetically in his own sneaky stream before one last ditch effort to stop Team Furry from dismantling their entire base, and thus the ADC, who quite literally wouldn't shut the fuck up about the game being over and Champ Select, got carried to the easiest win of her life, and the Mr. Broxah proved on the damage meters that if sushi modeling doesn't work out as a career, he's good at other things as a backup, and according to him, this pick is good because it brings
vision and zone control in jungle. Around objectives, great skirmishing against unhit champions, great clear speed, second clear onwards.
But he's a pro, he could probably make Janna Jungle look OP, so I went back to the depths of Elo Hell, aka this is my first time playing the game. How please, we're the only person that shows up to leashes on the enemy team, and the first timer dies before your second camp, to give a more realistic idea of if this works for the majority of League players. It's worth noting that I did win the race to the south side scuttle, and then I hit a timely visit mid to assist Deadpool in his quest against the Joker in this Marvel vs DC showdown, and spoiler alert, Deadpool wins the first encounter. PS undefeated on scuttles, which long story short gave me the intel I needed to know that their rolling cat turd of a jungler was at Grubs, and considering my mid just killed theirs, I figured this was USDA certified prime rib opportunity to rotate and help me slap this weaponized frosted Cheerio. But no matter how many flag icons I decorated the area with, he was like, nah bro, I'm not budging. Only when he saw an opportunity to steal a kill for himself did he start to leave, but turns out I'm a big boy and can win this skirmish all by myself at this point. I learned how to grow shrooms on the ground, which meant I was ready to be an award-winning dickhead to their jungler as I took his red and then sniffed out the little nibbling Alaska rock at his golems, giving him no choice but to peace out. Then, seeing as I was already in the area and we knew Roly-Poly Eali was indisposed, I could just walk up to Calamari Kim up here, spit a bit in her Shrek-looking face, and get another kill for the team. This earned me another serving of Courage the Cowardly Dog looking objectives, and then I channeled my inner Broxah and started planning surprise parties for people taking strolls through the forest. It didn't always work out, but I did team up with a unicorn at one point to try and take down the monopolizing bot lane, who had the privilege of laning against my team's first time misfortune, which did result in the goat getting sent to base, but we made it worth Then I immediately played a quick game of Shako or Fako, but I'm just Adderall level focused, never even a doubt in my mind that we had the right guy. We ate some red meat at McDragon's before collectively laughing our ass off at the soon-to-be deceased dumbass playing Kaisa. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I could W key literally to catch up to blood brides until they pissed off while feeling surprisingly tanky for whatever reason. The CICD pipeline of endless shrooms in the forest was paying dividends, and thanks to a queef healing goat following me around, I was feeling invincible. As it turns out, my kid is dank against Aramis when my auto attacks are mostly magic damage, so I'm sure he was just having a grand old time. Plasma Patty got fed early, but in my presence she was about as useful as a poopy flavored lollipop, so the only one sucking was her, as Ramus would regret any time he came in contact with me. I remained undefeated in the Guess Who game of Shako or Fako, and then I continued to diff the shit out of this Icelandic cat turd, and I guess in the end playing Teemo Jungle just opens up his bullshit to the whole rift earlier without pinning you to a lane, and no one wants to deal with that. But Broxah mentioned he learned the tech from this guy, so if you want the details I would head over there for a more in-depth explanation, as all I can say was that I feel dirty playing it, and clearly Uncle Rito doesn't care that it's a thing. Rav out.